going to run into a cost kind of thing. The tests that we did for the minerals was $150, and it really didn't lead us any place, except that the guys are saying we need more tests, So we're trying to figure that one out. We've got some feelers out to some people in public health, and one thought is we might try to see if Marshall could help us with that. So the last challenge we've got, which I think is the one that we've got the best solution for, we've got a system at Chris Campbell's, which is on Main Bulger Road and has a very high water table, groundwater table. It's about 12 to 15, if you go down 12 to 15 inches in the ground, you're going to hit water. Okay?
Yeah.
And what we're finding is it seems like somehow the groundwater is infiltrating the system, so that at the direct discharge, we've got more water coming out than we should. So one of the tests we did, we dug a hole down close to the system and put some green dye tablets in, turned the system off completely for 24 hours, went back in 24 hours. Water was still flowing out of the discharge pipe and it was green. So that sort of told us that it was probably somehow coming from the groundwater into the system. So one of the things we're talking about is raising these peat modules up, putting some discharge pipes under the peat modules, and then putting a separate kind of drain system to try to drain the groundwater away from the modules into the creek. We've got people who have said, yeah, they'll take care of the labor, but we're still trying to have a confirmation of who's going to pay for the gravel and who's going to pay for the pipes. I'm sort of keeping my fingers crossed that Borden and Mona will bear the cost of this, because they would like to be able to come back, since they're putting all the 19 systems in, they'd like to come back and sort of do an advertisement about how they've helped Lincoln County, what great things it's done, and how everybody ought to have a Borden and Mona system. So we got to get this working.
And just water, they did their, I assume they did some type of perk test or something.
Yes.
Water didn't show up when they did.
Well, the water at this property has, a lot of these homes have a very little area. This has a pretty big yard area. So our hope originally was that instead of doing direct discharge, we could put the final plume into the ground. So we did several perk tests looking for someplace, and we never found it. So we did a lot of perk tests. But I think at that point we hadn't had enough experience to even think that with that high water table, we really had to get everything up a little higher than we normally put in. So again, as the people in the community said, gosh, we're just
So the installer wouldn't have probably any responsibility or liabilities because he was assuming.
He was, you know, the assumption was that this was like everything else. I think, again, it's part of this learning curve that even Borden and Mona, even the technology people, aren't used to working under the conditions that we've got here in low-income rural communities that are close to creeks. So that I think now after this experience, they're going to be writing into their specs on how to install things that say, if you've got really high water tables, you need to do some of these things.
And in that bid we gave to the installer for all these systems, there's no discretionary money left in the budget, or
This is an
No,
EPA
yes,
contract,
yes, yeah.
unfortunately.
that's,
So we've spent all our money.
well, find somebody to pay for it. Other than us.
That's what we're trying. That's what we haven't come asking the commission for money for this. So that's where we are, but I just wanted to let you know, hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Well, you know, when we got into this, I never dreamed that we'd be learning so much
I know, I didn't either.
about a subject of this nature.
Yes, we are. And I mean, I guess the good thing is that we're helping a lot of other communities in the kind of stuff that we're learning.
Well, it needs to be.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is Justin Blankenship with the Lincoln County Youth Football League.
Welcome, Justin.
Thank
We're
you.
about to talk about your company a while ago, weren't you? Talking about that web page?
Yeah. I've got a copy of the bylaws. All right, I'd like to thank the commission for putting me on the agenda to speak on behalf of the Lincoln County Youth Football League. This is formerly the Hamlin Midget Football League. It's undergone some changes recently, one being the rename of the league to Lincoln County, as I spoke about earlier. We're taking on the Panthers as the mascot. We've changed the uniform also to the same colors as the high school. So what we're trying to do is kind of develop a synergy between the high school and the youth league. And really, you know, more than anything, we've got a whole new group of people in as officers. We want to develop a program that kind of rolls over year after year. So, you know, when I'm out of it, you know, I'll be in for 5-6 years. All the other people will be in for 5 or 6 years. But when we're gone, we want to turn it over to somebody else so they can continue on with it. So part of that is, you know, what I passed out here. We got some bylaws together and just some rules and procedures to go by to operate successfully. So one other thing, we also have changed league affiliation. We're in the Tri-State Youth Football League now, which is considered by a lot of people the premier youth football league in this area. It's been around since 1957. So we voted to go into that. It was unanimous at our meeting. It was 14-0 as far as the vote between officers and parents, and